What's up, people? We are here on the heels of. Oh yeah, we'll change the titles here in a second. I'll do that real quick, but we just wanted to come in here and pop a video out real quick. So thanks Stevie G for that. But guys, look, Jason may be on, maybe not. We sent him a message. It has been a uh, long,
Chaotic 24 hours.
yeah, chaotic 24 hours. Uh, Boomer Sooner to everybody. First and foremost, I want to get this out before we do any of the intro. Well, I'll do the intros first. Look, Kchris with a K, Horns Down Podcast, Sooners 360 Podcast with Kchris Mason, Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason and the coach. Together, all combined, we are Sooners Intel. But with that being said, definitely want to give a shout out to our Bama guys, Ty Hayes, Jance, Coach Smook, all the rest of them. Can't forget Sharp as well. Shout out to those guys. You guys earned that win. You got it. Still say Bama Bama didn't beat us. We beat ourselves. But regardless, though, good luck to you guys in the future rounds. But we're here to talk about it tonight, people. We're not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time. We got some things to talk about. We're not going to jumble it up. We're just going to get right to it. We're going to just discuss some of the things there. Jason and I sat right next to each other at the game last night. Obviously, Kchris Mason watched. I think everybody watched. There's a lot of reactions, a lot of things to go. Kchris Mason, I want to start off just with this right here as the prologue, okay?
Yeah.
Coming into this season, people, I said that we were going to go 10-2, and we did. And I think that we had an amazing year this year. I do want to also say I think that it is fair to say that we overachieved a little bit as well. I think that we are way ahead of schedule, and I'm fine with that. There are some things that need to be adjusted, and there's some things that need to happen. Last night, we saw flashes of how good this team could be, how complimentary this team could be. But for our first topic, Kchris Mason, I just wanted to get that out of the way, and I'll start fixing everything while you're talking. But
Okay. Yes. Was it horrible? Yes. But overall, starting that game out and putting 17 points on the board, um, uh, and putting up over 360 yards of offense. No, I don't think the offense was the issue. You're on mute. Kchris, you're on mute.
sorry about that. But I'll say that being there at the game last night, I'm gonna give you from both angles. First and foremost, with Mateer, I will say this right here. I think last night, especially some of those deep digs, a lot of the just improv or whatnot, you saw flashes of what had everybody so excited about him. If you watched his tape at Washington State, right? The timing was really good. He anticipated things. He threw guys open. He threw the spots, and it was really good when it was really good. But I will say this, Kchris Mason, it's clear to me now for sure that I can really and truly say I sat there and saw it. And I've seen it a bunch throughout the season. Jermichael Carter, Satania, at times Giovanni Gibson. These guys have at least one step, if not two steps, on the DBs, and it's one of those things where you're just like, dude, let it fly, let it fly. And it's getting to the point where it's just like, I don't know if he's gun shy. It's not the head, it's not injuries or whatever the case may be, but there are guys that are running down the field that are open. And it's hard to sit here and blame Arbuckle because I think Arbuckle may be 30% of the problem. But then again, when you look at it, Kchris Mason, there was no running game last night. I think that Blaylock he did a good job, a workmanlike performance, but it was clear to me, X Rob shouldn't have been on the field last night. And love X Rob and all the rest of that stuff, but he shouldn't have been on the field. The drop, all the rest of those different things, you can't blame Mateer for some of the things that happened. The pick six, we can.
Lewis made a mistake.
Yeah, it seemed like Keontez Lewis should have sat down right there where he was throwing it to. But then again, you still have to look and not throw on tendency and actually look at the play. But there are guys that are running down the field that are open, and we could have blew that game wide open, and we could have got some PI call. We could have got it's just a handful of things that could have happened. But I will say again, you saw some of the flashes last night from Mateer when everything clicks. But the problem is just that there is never any rhythm, Chris Mason.
Yeah, I mean, if you had told me we were going to score 24 points pregame
Yeah,
purely on offense, I would have said that I would have felt pretty good about our chances of winning. So knowing what we were offensively for the back half of the season, with Mateer injured, our running backs injured, and let's just keep in mind we're still swapping O line pieces in and out, left and right, right? From that perspective, okay, it doesn't really matter who's at fault for the pick on a certain level. If that's what you need to believe, and that's what you think, that's fine. I got other people telling me they felt like it was on Lewis. But
yeah,
whatever. But it doesn't really matter on a certain level. I mean, this isn't a court of law. So, from that perspective, yeah, I mean, there's some, there are plays open. There are inefficiencies with the offense still. Alabama's defense is probably better than we gave it credit for. OU played a better offensive game against Alabama than Georgia did
yeah,
3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
And that's just the reality statistically, yardage wise, as everyone tells us. Did you the big question, coming out of that game is if you think John Mateer shouldn't be our starting quarterback next fall, nothing that occurred in this Alabama game will change your mind, right? If you think there's a possibility that in year two he can improve his level of play,
mm-hmm.
the Bama game probably gave you some evidence of that. If you're holding on to the injury, and he needs better personnel around him, and in a second year he could be better working on his stuff. If you're on that side of the equation, the Bama game gave you some highlights there, right? Like, oh, okay, well look at that. If X-Rob had caught that pass and taken it in for a touchdown, OU would be up 24-7, and we wouldn't have had the special team woe that happened right after that.
Yeah,
If I have the sequence of events right, I'm pretty sure I do. Remembering that. So if you're in that one camp, nothing we're going to say is going to change your mind about that,
yeah,
right? If you're in the other camp, you feel like you've got some evidence to justify that. If you're somewhere in the middle and you're not quite sure where it is, you're still stuck in the middle because the game he didn't play so badly that you're like, it wasn't like a 34-3 game and we never did anything on offense and Mateer was awful. If you think if that's your view of what you saw last night, I don't know what to tell you, but that's not an accurate viewpoint of the game. But if that's what you thought, then okay, go off on your Mateer needs to depart immediately island and go there.
But Chris Mason, I think it's fair because what Sooners to win is saying. I think that's where a lot of fans are at. I'm just not a fan of the offense. Period. What is what is our identity? And I would say I don't. Again, like I've told you guys before, if you've watched us on our Monday pod, where it's just our recruiting pod, or you've watched all of us together on the Sooners Intel pod. I agree. We don't necessarily have an identity, but I think we have a purpose out there on the field. However, I think there are some things that should have been changed early. If I'm just giving my, Monday morning quarterback, right? My Orm Couch opinion, right? I talked to my uncle late last night after the game, and he said, I said that comment to you, Chris Mason. He said, hey, Burks looked good last night because he was playing in the slot. He wasn't your outside guy. I kept wondering, why are we putting non-speed guys out there? I don't think Burks is necessarily one of our big speed guys. I think Satania is. And it just made more sense when he was in the slot because I think he has he may be a better route runner than Satania. Satania is just twitchy and can get open. But there are certain things with the offense that it's hard to really have an identity when you don't have that run game. I thought the offensive line was good for the most part. It's just a simple fact that you didn't have a run game last night, which we'll talk about when we get to portal needs. But for me last night, it was just hard to watch some of the things because at times Mateer was able to move the ball with his legs and do certain things, and I like the bootleg action. I like some of the things that I saw them trying to get him out there in space, but they enjoyed that even more, Bama's defense. And it seemed like, it left him with only a couple of options, but he made plays. Mateer played well enough, I think, for the majority of Sooner Nation to say, hey, we're okay to give you another chance. But I think there still is that small majority. They're like, no, he either needs to go or we need to make this an open competition, bring in another guy. If Hawkins stays, that everybody gets a fair shot to actually start because something has to happen. And I think it shouldn't take you. That game was just so unbalanced because at one point you're just in rhythm. 17-0, you're in rhythm. After 56 comes out, we score that touchdown. Everything is there. Even on the 7-yard line, we can't move the ball. We can't do anything. And it's just like some of those things can't happen. With Arbuckle, sometimes it pees you off because you're just like, it's 32, it's 31. Just run the ball. Be simple. I think that some of those game management things kind of came into play. Those woes came into play last night as well. You're up 17-10. Why are we throwing the ball? That should have been 3 straight runs. We get to halftime, regroup, and we go from there. It shouldn't have been 17-17 at half. So I just sometimes some of the things that happened last night, I just don't understand Chris Mason. And I think that's where a lot of Sooner Nation is as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the identity thing. I think I'll be honest with you. I think that's a little overblown. Cliche wise, you're either efficient on offense or you're not efficient on offense.
Yeah.
Okay, and tell me what our identity was in 2017.
Yeah.
I mean, please tell me what our identity was. We ran the ball and we threw the ball. I
Yeah.
mean, what was our against arguably in a rematch against Alabama? The criticism was we only put up 200 yards and we only scored 17 points on offense, and we were set up on most of those points by turnovers, which is kind of accurate. This time we had no turnovers, and we put up 24 points, and we should have had 27, but we'll get to that. So to me, the game is in the other two. The offense played as well as they could to win this game.
Yeah.
This game is lost in the other two phases of it. I mean, could our offense play better and should have played better? Sure, but based upon what we're really expecting from our offense, we got enough to win this game.
Yeah, no, we got enough from the offense to win the game. And I believe defensively, you played well enough to win the game as well. But that's where the offense let you down. We knew Bama was going to come in here and score, and that just kind of that's a segue to our next topic, which is Alabama's offense. This is more about OU's defense than it is about Alabama. Alabama, I don't think they did anything that was great. I think it was more of they took advantage of certain things, which they're supposed to do and which they will do. There was a couple of times we ran zone plays where I was just like, come after him. Don't put Kip Lewis there where we know Kip falls back into coverage and they literally set him up, run right behind him. And that happened with Cuevas. Another thing I saw somebody pointed out as well. Wish BV would have called a
more aggressive game.
Not only an aggressive game, I wish he would have called a damn timeout on that 4th down.
Okay,
because the whole thing was that obviously the players were trying to get the communication, but anytime Bama lines up in a bunch formation, whatever side, it's some type of screen, there's a curl, there's all types of stuff coming out of that. Man up on that across the board and make them work for that. Make Ty Simpson throw that. But I will say this right here. Like I told Jason when we were walking back to my truck, Bama looked like Tennessee last night. The way that they were lined up. I mean, that's the widest I've ever seen their formations. I mean, they stretched as far as they possibly could, and they ran a lot of different. It was very reminiscent of one of the games I hate the most, hate talking about the most, because I feel it just makes me even feel worse because I feel like I'm bad luck going to the games. But essentially, the K State game, back when Dylan Gabriel was the quarterback when they came here for like one of the last times, right? Essentially, Colin Klein just played with our linebackers that year, where he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
basically just ran motion and would telegraph where the ball was going just to the little fullback or the little, or a little 5 yard little hitch route, little curl route for their wide receiver, and they would pick up so many yards off of that shit. That's what was happening last night. So, I mean, the way they lined up, the way they did a lot of different things, it was just, I mean, it was good football. Ty Simpson made some timely throws. Brooks stepped up big last
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
You took care of Bernard. You took care of the screens. Bone, if you're in here, you took care of the screens that they try to run. Ryan Williams,
And they
non-existent.
almost threw we almost got a pick six.
Yes.
With Alabama, game in hand, almost gave us a pick six.
Now, I will say, again, couple of things that we have to figure out. Love Eli Bowen. Eli Bowen, in my book, is a superstar. But Eli Bowen on an island by himself against I don't know how tall Horton is, but when Horton's 6'2", 6'3", somewhere between 6'3" and 6'4", somebody correct me, somebody figured that out in the chat. You can't leave him on an island like that when they're just throwing go balls like that. He's just going to go and jump up, especially when it's thrown with touch. Same thing with Hardy. I wasn't. I have no issues with Hardy. I think Hardy is doing exactly what he needs to do, and he is in a fold. But Hardy got beat on that orbit route. And that's something where you say, hey, I've seen Peyton Bowen get beat on there, but I'd rather Peyton Bowen be that guy that gets beat there instead of that being the rotation.
He's 6'4".
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, we got hit on some stuff. We didn't get we didn't recover the Jam Miller fumble, which could have changed that whole game.
Uh-huh.
You know, high, you know, we did smack Simpson a couple of times, and you would have thought maybe we could have got a fumble out of some of those. Didn't. I'm not going to go into the whole referee conspiracy and what
I mean, they
Proctor
sucked last night. I'll be real, but
But
it's
Proctor,
all
what Proctor was doing to R. Mason Thomas was basically a felony. Now, were our guys doing the same thing, and it's basically a push? I don't know. I'm not gonna go the referee route because it's kind of tiresome cliche. But I mean, the one thing that I was just surprised by, Chris, was that we got up and then we gave up that long drive to them, and
yeah.
they converted those two critical conversions they got in that drive. Because if we could have stopped them either time and kept it 17-0, we're probably that game doesn't. We go in a half 17-3 or something like that
Mhm.
instead of tied, then that game completely changes. The
I,
tenor of it changes.
Chris Mason, I'll just tell you, man. I mean, it is one of those things where you just damn near depressed almost the next day because you just thinking about what could have been,
Yeah, I mean it's
what should have been.
yeah, I mean it's again we got you know it'd be one thing if we'd lost this game 17-3 and the offense had just been Mr. Sad Sack and and we just didn't get anything going on offense and we were just mad at the offense the offensive performance completely, and that was where we'd hang our hat and all the blame. But
Yeah.
lots of blame to go around. So the
Lots of blame to go around on both sides. I think that we could have been more aggressive. I think at some point you just have to say, pin your ears back, go get the quarterback because the game is on the line. Make them make more plays.
yeah, I mean, and then so all right, you've done a great job articulating what went on the defense. Can we move to what to me is the real villain of this game?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
To me, it's the effing special teams. Okay, if you were giving our offense a grade, it's like a B, right? Right. If you're giving our defense a grade, it's like B, B
But the
minus for who they are.
B minus, yeah.
Yeah, for who they are. But the F in special teams killed us. It's an F. The double clutch punt block completely flipped this game. It's like it was so bad, and I'm not really serious in this comment. I had like a bunch of OU fans asking me if our punter had money on this game. Was he point shaving?
Yeah, that was definitely.
I mean, the special teams were terrible. I mean, there's literally 10 points in special teams from the punter. And then Chris, I've watched it like 15 times. I don't know how they called that field goal good or bad.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. That's whenever I left the game. Hey, real quick, people, I know I'm trying to figure out. I think that's on Jason's end since he's the one who has like the admin over this portion of our shows. So
About the
yeah,
titles
the
is it.
title or whatever. I'm trying to figure out how to fix that now. But regardless, though, we're here. But yeah, no, Chris Mason, no, you're right. I couldn't.
I mean,
That was
I don't know how if they had said it was good, you'd be like, okay, but they said it was bad, and I'm like, I mean, I don't understand how with modern technology you don't have a way of knowing how kicks are good or not good if they go past the goalposts.
yeah. I was sitting there
Shouldn't
right
they
there.
should have digital technology that literally runs the goalposts
Yeah,
all the way up to a certain point and you map it. I mean, same thing they do in soccer for offsides. I'm a cricket fan being from England. They literally interpret flights of the cricket ball to make rulings all the time. The math isn't hard.
no, you're right. I was there in that end zone. Me and Jason were there in that end zone, and it looked good to me. I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. Now,
Exactly.
as
If it's 34-27, it looked like our defense and Bama had gone into a shell and didn't quite know how to get things going again. I'm pretty sure we would have gotten the ball back
yeah,
with some time to put together a drive to maybe tie the game.
yeah,
But
that was my thought. And then when that happened, it was just like, let's just go.
I saw your text message and I was like, well, I can understand that. Um, I mean, it was. I mean, for our Lou Grozer kicker, and he missed it badly, right? I haven't seen a single kick from him go that way all effing year long.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not necessarily worried about Tate Sandell. It's more of just the whole Grayson Miller experience. I mean, yeah, he made the first team All SEC, special teams, but he's been shanking some stuff. And just last night, I just don't get
Well, the
the
shank
low.
punt cost us 7 points.
Yeah,
I mean, they had the ball at the 35-yard line. So, and we didn't make a special team play. I need to go back and look, but somebody was telling me that they thought Corey Heineke almost got a punt block. Came very close to a punt block last night. We didn't really have a big return. We didn't give up any big returns. But when you basically give up 13 points from special teams, and special teams has been a value add, when you start the game in the whole 13 points against Bama, I don't know how you're with that. If you had told me that Sandell's going to miss 2 field goals and our punter is going to shank a punt and get a punt blocked, I would have said, yeah, I'm not sure we're winning this football game.
I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Yeah.
We may be getting to Jason on the show.
Oh, all right.
He's asking, he's like, no invite. I'm like, dude, we sent you a message like a few hours ago, like an hour ago.
I was asking hours ago if you're going to be available, if you could just set me. So, but yeah, we'll give Jason a chance to talk. But to me, it's B offense based upon what the offense had been doing, right? On a curve. I'm not implying anything fantastic from the offense, but based upon what we got, that's a B. You said the defense B minus based upon how they've been playing, but based upon how they've been playing, it was an F day from special teams. And you saw today the stupid Miami, Texas A&M taffy pull in College Station. Special teams disasters there as well. I mean, special teams was a complete mess there as well. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's the root core of losing the game. We lost it on special teams. I mean, I don't know how he shanks that punt. I don't know how he double clutches and doesn't punt the ball. When he's been punting, as you say, he's been the old SEC punter. And that stretch, he was punting for the most part pretty well. That 4 game stretch, I think prior to that, there was some hits and misses. Um, I don't know what, I don't know, I mean,
So,
again,
so
Sandell hits that field goal cleanly, like every other field goal he's kicked, except for the field goal in the Michigan game. And he didn't even miss the Michigan game field goal the same way as he missed the one last night. Or the refs just say good, which is what they could have said just as easily as bad.
yeah,
If it's 34-27 and we have a chance to tie the game, and with 2 minutes on the clock, and we're driving, and maybe we make it, maybe we don't. I think you feel differently about the game. You're like, well, one possession game, we made mistakes, we had a chance to tie it. You can't really ask for anything more against the number 9 team in the nation.
yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, the thing that highlights today is that, I mean, I threw this out to some Sooner fans, and based upon what I saw today, if you're ranking the SEC team, I mean, A&M looked like crap today. I mean, Marcel looked much worse than Mateer. If we're honest about it, Mr. Reed looked like crap. I mean, UGA looks like the best team. Ole Miss has got the best offense. OU and Bama are 1-on-1 playing each other. If we played a third time, I think the game would be something similar to this or something similar to the other one. Vandy and UT are probably similar teams. And A&M is, I'd say A&M is the 5th team in the SEC after what I saw today. And then, we didn't get to play Tulane or James Madison.
Yeah,
We got the Alabama Crimson Tide, the number 9 team in the nation. I mean, the difference and the gap difference between that and what's going on right now in Eugene it's ridiculous. So
which which to me, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. The whole and you can't really help it, but Notre Dame has that clause now, and then also just the G5 stuff. I just feel like that's just a bunch of horse
I
shit.
think
These are
the I think the Notre Dame thing only applies if it goes to 14 or 16.
yeah,
That's being misreported.
I got you. Well, either way, I just think that it's got to fix itself because I think these are the type of matchups that we want opposed to the other. Regardless, though, just kind of going back through it, though, Chris Mason again, I just think offensively, again, Mateer wasn't necessarily the biggest issue last night, but again, the interception.
It's bad. It's bad.
The interception was bad. Again, I think what's more egregious is the fact that guys are running down the field open. And
Yeah,
there was,
yeah,
there was plenty of times Satania's open, other guys are open, but our best plays come off of just those cluster fucks. Like we're literally just running crossers all day. We're just running like basically double slants from each side, and just it's just one of those things where there's got to be some type of continuity and some type of rhythm. We have to know who we are, but at some point last night. Now, Bama did get a couple of runs. We got to mention that with the defense. They got a couple of like what the fuck moments with the run game.
they got one big
But
one, big one with the Hill kid.
but the whole thing about it was that both teams for the most part abandoned the run game because the pass game was what was going to get them through.
Yeah,
But Blaylock is again very workmanlike, but at the same time it just has to be better. We have to figure something out. Um, the whole the odd experience did not live up to what it was supposed to be. Taylor Tatum has been injured all year. Still don't really know what we have in that guy. I think we have a really talented guy, but I don't know where his confidence at. Where is his head at? Can he hold on to the football now? And then after that, you really didn't have anything. It's almost to the point now where you're thinking to yourself, "Damn, should we have really let Sawchuk go? Sawchuk would have
no,
been,
we shouldn't have.
yeah,
I mean, Saul would have been productive for us, but
yeah,
Nagy that was his first move as GM. He thought he knew what he was getting in Ott, and he didn't do the background vetting he needed to do.
Mhm.
That was his first mistake in like acquiring talent. I think I know this kid. I talk to him all the time. He's good. You needed to talk to guys that you needed to get some background on him and figure out what was going on, because lots of cow people say, "Well, yeah, he's a lazy mf'er here, and why, I don't know why you think he's going to be working out for you guys."
Mhm.
So yeah, but I think that's where it is. You're right about the offense. That's the question, right? Can you, if what we saw against Alabama, where he's reasonably healthy, right, and it's obviously Carter and Gibson have been getting better as they're getting more playing time and more practice time, right?
Yeah,
Because Carter came in the summer, he was behind everybody, right?
yeah,
And Gibson was hurt, didn't really get to play until game 4, so he was behind. As both of those guys have gotten a little more action and gotten a little more used to stuff, that they're flashing something, right? They are. So if you think this is if this is if but are they just less relevant because we've got more guys that he's seeing the guys more because we have more guys open, or we're blocking better so he has more time to actually see the guy and he's more confident pushing those balls downfield. His thumb's feeling better and he's feeling more confident in it. I don't know. So, but I think it's a good question.
Chris Mason. I mean, the thing is, it gives you a lot of caution, a lot of concern. Simple fact that he knows his offense, and
Yeah,
so
but this offense is it. I think the number one finding out of this is based upon based upon the fact we didn't get to play outside the SEC after Michigan, right?
yeah,
In
no,
a relevant game. I'd have loved to have played Miami yesterday, last night, or Notre Dame, or just somebody out of the SEC, right? Get us a read on where we are against the rest of college football.
hmm
Um,
it's gonna be that same way next year because we're not gonna really know where we're at. And hell, be honest with you, with what's going on with Michigan, we may not know where we're at until the Texas game to be. Well, Georgia, excuse me. We
Yeah,
we
we
have
got, well, we
Georgia
got,
and
well,
the
no,
Texas.
we'll go to we'll be between the hedges. We'll have an
Yeah,
answer there. I mean, it might be a bad answer, but it might be an answer. But yeah, so I don't know where we are in terms of that. So that's why I would have, in hindsight, liked to not had a rematch with Alabama, get a read on where we are,
well,
but and to see where we are because I have an idea where we are in the B. I have an idea of where we are in the SEC after this season, right?
mhm.
I have a pretty good idea because we played everybody who has a pulse but A&M. And after all I watched today, I think we would beat A&M.
Well, let's go ahead and switch it up, Chris Mason, because I do want to get into some portal stuff. I think we
Yeah.
kind of talked at nauseum. I mean, and it's going to go back to through the same things we talked about. People go if you rewind this, we talked about material in the offense. Was it the issue? We talked about Alabama's offense briefly, just kind of some of the things they did from a procedural standpoint, pre-snap, and just some of the issues it gave our defense last night. And obviously, we talked about the special teams, but we have the one and the only. We have my guy who's with me. We have Jason here. So, we can't just, well, we want to get to the portal stuff, but we got to give Jason all his
Yes.
time to get it out. And yeah, Jason.
First thing, whoever the roll tide clowns are in here running their mouth about us not wanting to show our face and yeah. You guys are talking a bunch of dumb shit. Y'all need to knock it off. Knock it off already. Nobody's making excuses for Oklahoma like you guys made excuse after excuse losing to OU in Tuscaloosa. So knock it off with that shit already. It's ridiculous. Anyway, what was the conversation you guys were just having though about
So we
what was
talked
going
about we talked about Mateer and the offense first, and we talked about just Alabama's offense, kind of what they showed us procedurally. What me and you were talking about last night with them kind of lining up like Tennessee, stretching it so wide, and a little bit of the defense. But we also talked about special teams too. But whichever one of those three you want to talk about, because we were going to move into the portal talk kind of just projections in the portal.
OU next year, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Mateer played better early. I think that it looked a lot better. The ball looked like it was coming off his hands better. The big pass that he missed to Giovanni was troubling, but then he scored on that drive. So it's not like it was that big a deal. I feel like those are the kind of passes that you got to make. He almost missed Satana as well on that other touchdown, but he got it. As far as the pick sixes, you can't make any. To me, you can't absolve anything on that. He stared down that spot. There wasn't a player there except for an Alabama player, and he throws the fucker anyway. I don't. These are the things that I can't understand what's going on here. I just and to me, as far as the play calling is concerned, I think that early on it was okay. The some of the newer stuff that they did was cool. I think that I liked the early play calling. It feels like they ran out of answers after that, and they were pressing definitely the entire second half. I'd like to see a better offensive all the way around, and I don't think that it was handled very well. But we don't have to go into all that right now. I think to me the biggest thing was that you get up 17-0, and you're not able. And to be fair to Mateer, I mean he made that throw to X-Rob and he just dropped it. If he catches that football right there and it goes to 24-0, then the ball game is over. They fold up shop, game time.
Because you're totally right on that. I was talking about just from a run game standpoint. He was hurt, and like I
agree with you on that. I'm just saying, you got to make that damn play. You know what I mean? And I feel the same. I don't know what the hell was going on with Tate Sandell. I don't know what was going on with the punter stuff. Is it's perplexing. I've never seen anything like it. It was like it was like Chuck Knobloch out there on second, can't throw to first. You know what I mean? It was weird. Weird. Yeah, it just
even with all that, Sandell hits that field goal, we probably have the ball with a chance to tie the game.
No doubt, and that's where I feel like that was trouble, and and it was such a short kick too. I mean, here he is banging 50-yarders like it's nothing all year long. 8 of 8, he goes 8 of 8 inside of 50 and up or 50 and in, and then he misses that little one.
Jason, one of the comments, I've looked at that like a dozen effing times, and I don't know how they called it good or bad.
Yeah,
it looked good.
It was over the top of it, and they.
Well, but there wasn't. It may have been over the top, but it wasn't.
Well, so we were on that end, though. We were on that end, so it was hard to see from where we were because we're at the right side.
I've seen every angle of it, and I've looked at it. and I'm like, well, that could be good. That could be bad. I mean, it's embarrassing. I said it's embarrassing. They don't have a technology that extends it that can just tell you.
Yeah, I mean, you can plot GPS parts. I mean, if you put a GPS thing in the ball, you no longer have issues with any
of this nonsense. I mean, the refs literally look at each other and they were like,
"Forget what our lying eyes tell us and all that other shit." Like, I just got to be honest. If you have the technology that we have in college, in America, in the world these days,
in other sports,
zero fucking excuse for not knowing whether it went through the uprights or not.
Yeah, I mean,
good, whatever.
The refs had that stupid look on their faces when when they were showing them. The refs were like, they both like had no fucking clue, and one of them went, no good, and the other one's like, all right, okay. They were both clueless on it.
Well, and is that even something that they can review?
No, it's not.
So why isn't that something that you can review? That's, to me, that's hell. Even the camera going up the damn goalpost would tell you whether or not it crossed that line or not.
Yeah, it's the stupidest. It's the stupidest. element. It's like some of the goal line stuff too, right? You just can't tell whether the guy crossed the goal line.
That's not a true statement either, Lexus driven facts. They said the rule is if it's over the goalpost, it's no good. Some part of the ball must go inside of the goalpost. No. Inside of the goalpost is far, you mean is at the height of it? That's not even, there's no way that's part of the rule. If that is part of the rule, then they need to investigate. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And again, you know what? This happened at Texas Tech 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was good. I was watching it live on television. It was good. It was good. It was inside of the upright. You saw it on television. You never saw that angle again. They called it no good. I'm telling you, it was bullshit. That was Big 12 horse shit right there. But this one right here, to me, I don't know. Look.
I mean, he should have nailed it like he nailed every other freaking field goal, right? I mean, it's just the fact he missed it. I mean, the view in the stands from it was just like, it was stun cobra everywhere. It was, you know. So I mean, when your Lou Grozer kicker leaves it open to that interpretation, you know you're having a bad night. I mean, that's, you know, and then he leaves the other one short.
I mean, Crimson, bro, I don't care if you lost respect for me. I have zero respect for people that are going to sit here and make excuses. I'm not making excuses for Oklahoma. Not at all. No. They didn't get enough. They didn't get it done. They had a 17-point lead and could have cooked your asses and didn't get it done. Anybody who's going to sit there and make excuses for Alabama in the Tuscaloosa game is full of shit. And if that's you, then you're full of shit. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if Coach Sean likes it. I don't care what anybody says. That's a soft-ass statement to make. That we gave them that game. They didn't do it. They didn't take away the ball. We gave it away. That's the lamest shit ever. And it should be beneath a blue blood fan base. And apparently it's not with all you guys. That's what I said was soft. And I don't give a fuck if you respect it or not. Run away. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, don't. So Jason, are you willing to move on to us about next year and some portal stuff?
Sure, we can.
Do you feel like you've gotten your?
I was about to say the same because I think that's where we definitely need you at, and I think that obviously you gotten it off, but I think that I want to hear your thoughts about it because I know it's about to get a little bit spicy on here. Because I mean, we talk about portal, we already talked about material, we talked about kind of like, okay, you see that performance last night, you see the projection, and I kind of giving both sides. It's like, hey, yeah, it could be good. But it's concerning as well that he knows the offense and is still doing some of the things he's doing. You go and get better weapons. Is it still there? But there are people in here that agree with you, Jason, which is like, hey, I'm ready to move on. I think it's time that we separate and we move on. Not saying that you're still there, but you know, the floor is yours first, and then we'll kind of give you ours.
Well, can I just give a little grounding for our fans here?
I'm not ready for the conversation without you bringing up whatever we're talking about. So
let me give a little grounding. So I don't think it is a given he's returning. So I think as a fan base, there's a possibility that based upon the quarterback class in this draft class falling apart, right? Klubnik, Nuss, Sellers not in the draft. You know, just basically the draft class has turned into Mendoza and trying to convince Dante Moore to leave early, which he doesn't want to do, according to McShay. So I'm going to say something, and we're all going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Chris? And I'll try and back it up a little bit. There's a possibility that Mateer from the NFL guys is going to get something like, look, you might be the fifth quarterback taken if you come out. And before everybody says that's ludicrous, 2 points of order. One, Philip Rivers is quarterbacking the Colts after a 5-year hiatus. And Quinn Ewers is starting
Anthony Richardson, because Anthony Richardson, who could throw it a country ass mile but can't hit the broadside of a fucking barn. Yeah,
And he folds
Minneapolis and say the same thing. I mean, shit.
And Quinn Ewers is starting, and they're benching Tua. We all know that Quinn is devoid of talent in a lot of quarterback areas. So the crisis in quarterback talent in the NFL has never been higher. And there are multiple desperate franchises out there.
Agree.
So I think there's a chance.
It's bad in the NFL.
It's bad, and and the question has to be: if I'm Mateer, can I fix what's broken in the college game, or do I just need to go to the pros, get in a lab with a QB guru, and work on the stuff I'm bad at? I think that's a legitimate question.
I'm just going to add to your point, Chris Mason. People in the chat who are saying he's not an NFL quarterback and this and that. Look, say what you want to say, but for whatever reason, you say QB guru, this and that. Just remember, there was a word out there that John Lynch, I think it was from Chris Mason. It may have been Chris Mason or somebody else, but John Lynch loves Mateer. There's some guys that love them some Mateer. I've heard it. Not saying it's true. Not saying that that's the thing, but there are guys out there that will take a swing at a kid like him, put him in a program, and get him ready to go.
I mean, Josh Allen's senior year, if you guys senior year of college was a mess.
You will shut the
up. So it's a mess. So the other last thing is OU has some cost control on John Mateer because he signed a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
Right. And the market for quarterbacks is escalating badly. I mean, there's nonsense out there about what Levitt's going to pull in and et cetera. So keep those two things in mind when you're thinking about, do you move forward with Mateer? Could he bolt? If he does bolt, what does OU do? Et cetera about the portals. And one last thing, Jim Nagy didn't sign off on signing Mateer. Right? Nagy controls all of this.
He does. So you said there's a contract there. I didn't realize there was.
Yeah, he signed a 2-year deal. He's on a 2-year deal.
Okay, so he even said though, hold on though, because if he's already said today,
he doesn't know what he's going to do.
If he's got a contract, what do you mean you don't know what you're going to do?
Well, if he goes pro, that the contract allows him to leave and go pro.
Okay, but it wouldn't allow him to leave and go anywhere else?
He could ask out of the contract and OU could release him so he could go back in the portal. But I'm saying if he returns to OU, Nagy doesn't have to renegotiate the deal, right? Like, look, we've got a contract. This is the basis of that contract. So I'm just saying it gives from a Nagy perspective, just a Nagy perspective, that's a cost control at quarterback from a certain perspective for him. And maybe that allows him to do other things in the portal, which we'll get to, right? So that's just something to keep in mind, is that he has an element of cost control with Mateer versus being out in the ridiculous marketplace where Texas Tech is going to give Brandon Sorsby, $2.5 million a year or something ridiculous like that, right? So that's what I'm saying. So I don't think it's a given he's returning, because the QB market and the QB draft pool the following year is going to be, it could potentially have a lot more guys in it.
How soon is too soon? I mean, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. How soon do we get an answer? Do we get an answer before January 2nd, or do we get, because I think
I think you need an answer from Mateer Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I think you got to know now what he's planning to do. If he's going to jump, then you need to know that. But and
you need to reconfigure. You need to reconfigure.
I think that no matter what happens with Mateer, you need to go get somebody and have competition. No matter what. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit who you get. It needs to be known that it's competition, and including Michael Hawkins in that room. You better do it. You got to go find but you got to put
Jason,
just like hold on a minute. Let me just finish this point.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I just want to add a point to it.
This football team is built under the knowing that we are going to recruit somebody to beat you out of your job every year. The rest of this football team is built that way. Why in the fuck are we the only team in the country, or maybe we're not, but
We're not. Trust me, we're not.
let me finish though. Why is that the only position at Oklahoma that doesn't go by that same standard? I don't like it. I think it's bullshit. And obviously projecting quarterbacks ahead of time before they've done a fucking thing isn't great for us because it hasn't worked in the last 2 years. You ran Dylan off and they didn't. I know that I'm not saying that BV's lying about what he said. I think he wanted to see Dylan come back. Dylan didn't give him a chance to, but that had to do with all the money that had been already paid up front towards Jackson Arnold and what boosters wanted and all that shit. I think, and plus the fact that Dylan got treated like shit by the fan base from day one that he got here because his name wasn't Caleb Williams meant that he ran off and ended up in a better position for himself. He got himself drafted. He wasn't going to get drafted out of OU. That he hadn't gotten a good draft grade. That being said, I would just tell you that maybe it's a little different with Dylan Gabriel behind center last year. You know?
Well, it's not as bad, yeah. It's not as bad, yeah. That's definitively accurate.
Have a fucking competition, folks. If you compete for the position, whoever wins it, if it's a real competition, I think everybody here is happy. Because one thing that I get sick and tired of hearing is the lazy narrative that if Michael Hawkins was so good, he'd be playing. I don't believe that. And I don't know that anybody does when they say it. I think it's an easy thing to say that he's not outperforming the guy in practice. He probably isn't getting the reps.
Well, he's not.
And we know that no matter what, they want to play Mateer. They wanted to play Mateer for whatever reason. They paid a lot of money for him, and he's Buckles' guy, so he was going to play. Look where that got you.
I think at the end of the day, I think just to kind of to your point, Jason, I think that is what's going to happen because there's not necessarily a guy that you say that's out there right now. I think there's some guys that have superstar potential. You could say the same thing for Hawkins. I think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be an open competition, and I think they'll be open and honest and transparent about that because Hawkins has been in the system, but neither one of them are Buckle guys.
Huh? They're always transparent, Kchris, right? They're always transparent.
I'm just saying. I just think that in that point right there, I think that's going to happen, though. With that coming, so hopefully.
All right. So,
but regardless, though, yeah, just progressing the conversation again. You got to know from Mateer by Monday or Tuesday at the very latest, in my opinion, of next week. What are you going to do? Because we got to go figure it out. Because the thing is that you're going to have Hawkins, you're going to have Bo Bentley, but what are we doing with this? Whoever's a projected starter. We want this guy as the guy we want to get out of the portal to be our projected starter, but it's going to be open competition. And the whole thing is that
that's going to be tough to do, though. And I will say that what I'm saying is you got to have a competition. Mm-hmm. But if you go and get a guy like what's his name from Arizona State, or you go get
Levitt, Rocco Becht.
Rocco Becht, I love me some Rocco Becht, just by the way.
He's got a Penn State, but that's all right. But yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I can see him going to Penn State. That makes lots of sense. Yeah. But that being said, I like Rocco. I think it's hard for you when there's definitely going to be other teams out there that are saying, yeah, you're our guy. We're going to pay you this money. And they're going to pay him like a starter. In the end, I think that's a fool's errand to do this in this day and time.
What?
You're going to go get some of these guys. You have to, look at Kyler Murray. They went and got it. I know it was a different time, but he sat and waited for a while behind Baker and, could have easily not done that. It worked out for him. I would like to say that it could do the same thing if Hawkins stays. I'm not sure that he's going to leave because I think that his dad wants him to play for Brent Venables, wants Malik to play for Brent Venables as well. I think that that's big because of the defensive acumen of the staff at Oklahoma. He wants his other son there. So, of course, he wants his kids to play together. Look, I also think that if you give him the right amount of money somewhere else, that he's out. And I can't blame him for that because he hasn't gotten a fair shake at Oklahoma. I don't think that he has.
But whatever
happens, you better get it right at some point here or QBU is going to cease to exist in Norman, Oklahoma.
So the point I was trying to get is that there's a cost element to all of this now, right?
Yeah.
It's not just bring in the best guy from the portal and have him compete against Mateer, which is in an ideal world what you do, right? Okay, fire on fire, hotter the fire, etc. Iron on iron, etc. Whatever cliche you want to use, right? The problem is that we have other portal needs, right? And it's a fixed amount. So personally, I would love to see us bring in someone who could compete with Mateer, but do I want that at the cost of adding an elite wide receiver, an elite tight end, and a top offensive guard? That's where the conversation. If I've got a pool of money, and it's a finite pool of money, I got to. There are other things. That's the thing I don't know, right? If you get like the big Florida tight end, apparently OU is involved with him or going to be involved with him, right? And he fixes that blocking tight end role. Seriously, like he's a monster blocking. He's Brody Eldridge like, right? And then if you find another tight end who's a two-way tight end who can help give you depth there, right? And then you get the offensive guard, right, to plug in with the four guys we have returning as starters, right? And then you get a wide receiver. I'm going to throw a name out, Omarion Miller, right? Let's say you're able to negotiate with Omarion Miller and bring him in, right? So you add him to the wide receiver group. Satania leaves. You bring in another guy like maybe Malcolm Simmons from Auburn, who's similar skill set, underutilized, underappreciated, like Satania. You get those guys together and you pick up the pieces on defense that you think you need.
Yeah.
Would all those improvements on offense better? You pick up a running back. Apparently, Hollywood Smothers is interested in maybe coming back.
He was great this year, by the way.
He was great. So you add him to the mix we have and the guys incoming, the wide receivers we have incoming. Do you can all that with what we have on campus at quarterback get us the where we need to be on offense next year? Second year of a scheme, Buckle having a better idea of what works in the SEC and what doesn't work.
Chris Mason, we jumbling up a lot of stuff. We got to break it down for the people. When we talk about portal needs, we got to break it down like just position wise.
Right. So tight end, we need two tight ends.
We need two tight ends.
One's a physical blocker. One's a two-way tight end.
We need that in the tight end room. We know that. And JJF, yeah. Anyways,
we need a running back. We need one running back.
Before we get to that, let's just go and knock off the other ones. We know that we need a kind of a swing man tackle, just one more to add to the group. We know that we need a guard, and I think we need another center.
Or someone who plays both.
Somebody who could play both. And I obviously got to go get some wide receivers, got to have an elite wide receiver if we can get one, the Nick Marshes and some of the guys that you named. But, guys, last night, I'm just going to be honest with you. Jason, I said it last night because we talked about it. Love X-Rob. X-Rob is injured way too much. And I don't know what it is. I know me and my uncle, we talked about the Edwards kid what's the running back's name that was supposed to be Deuce Vaughn 2.0 up there at K-State?
Oh, Dylan Edwards.
And I told my uncle, I said, I don't know if to be honest with you, I'm more worried about him not being able to make it through he
wouldn't make it through August.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll make it through a camp. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just obviously those questions there and stuff like that. But I don't know if he'll be able to make it through a camp if he's having those type of issues up there. Regardless, though, we have to get one more running back added to that room because I think that Hatton's going to be able to play a role. I think that the Walker kid could probably potentially do something next year. We know what we have in X-Rob, and I think Blaylock is good. I think Blaylock needs to get healthy, and I'm excited to see what his progression can be. His ceiling, he showed that at times this year, and I think that he's kind of a really just Javonte Barnes 2.0 right now. But the kid runs hard. He does all the things, and I think that if we can – I'm praying that DeMarco tells him, hey, you don't have to be Kennedy Brooks and all the rest of these guys. You can be our home run hitter because the guy has elite speed, and he has twitch. He just has to go out there and seize the moment. But we have to get another running back in here that can actually help. Production will truly matter. and please do your background work on these people, because we can't have another odd situation where we're having that much money pulled to one guy and zero production
on the sidelines. Yeah, can't do that.
on the sidelines. We can't do that, because last night you could have, if X-Rod was still that injured, having a brace and all those different things. I just don't know how you're sitting there.
Ott catches that ball on that route.
Oh yeah, takes that home.
If he's the one running that route, he catches that ball and takes it in the end zone.
Well, but
yeah, why do you have money sitting on the bench like that? Is the question I have there. Look, and look, I understand he got in the doghouse early. Here's the thing, I think I was having this conversation with Bishop last night. When it comes to that stuff, to me, what I feel like happens is, and this happens with a lot of coaches, this isn't just an Oklahoma thing, this is an everywhere thing. Coaches get in their head something about a player, and it's hard to change it, which is the same, they get in their head about a quarterback that he's fucking really good, and it's hard to change their mind, right? They get in their head about a running back that he's a pain in the ass, it's hard to change their mind, right? For whatever reason, Jaden Ott came in, wasn't there for the spring, didn't really have a chance to ingratiate himself with the rest of the class of kids. He's from another program. He doesn't really fit in right away. And then he gets in the doghouse of whether it be Buckle or BV or whoever it may have been. We know he's been in the doghouse. We know that. That's clear as day.
And he's played like shit when he's got in.
To some extent. What I would tell you, going back to that Texas game, and people will talk about this one where he got Deion Burks blown up. No, he didn't. Deion Burks got himself blown up. He didn't take the block that he was that he had set. He cuts off the run, or he breaks off the where he's running the ball and runs right into a defender that knocks his fucking head off. Had he run past Jaden Ott like he's supposed to, Jaden Ott could have depleted that guy. So, has he been good at all? I don't think that he's gotten enough time to know. It's the same thing that I say about Hawkins. We didn't get to see whether he was developed or not. I think that that's as big a part of the problem with what happened this season as anything is we don't know what we have still in a lot of these guys. We don't know what we have in Elijah Thomas. We don't know what we have. We still don't know what we have in Ivan Carrion or all these guys I'm assuming are going to be in the portal, right? Ivan Carrion, who is it? Both the Zions, Reagans, and
KJ Daniels. And
that's the assumption. Yes,
that's the assumption.
Right, yes. Why? Because we don't know. We've never seen what they've done and I understand that whatever's going on in practice has to matter to these guys or whatever. But we're talking about a guy in Ivan Carrion 6'7", and he never sees the field. Anytime he ever has, though, we've seen him make big plays. We've never seen him drop a football. The hands play that he made at Tennessee tells me put him in a situation where it's a 50-50 ball or whatever, and it ain't 50-50 no more. He's going to go get it.
Yeah, I mean,
he might have been able to catch that crazy ball that he threw over Giovanni's head last night at 6'7". He probably wouldn't have, but it was because it was that bad. But let's just say you never know. I mean, why is it that we don't know what these guys look like? Well, because they're getting in the doghouse or they quit on them or whatever.
Or they suck at practice.
Or that.
I mean, that's a reality. That's a reality too.
Or hold on. Kyle had a good comment. He said, obviously not ready or doesn't fit our Buckle scheme, whatever that is.
That's also, I mean, guys, it's never one thing with anybody, right?
I'm talking about, and Kyle's the worst about it. Don't highlight him because that dude is the worst about making dumbass comments.
Okay, so let's talk about the fact that there's significant rumors. Well, so are you done with the portal lineup, Chris?
Go ahead.
There's significant rumors that we're looking at a strength and conditioning coach change. That's coming down the pike. Full credit, George Stoya is the one that put it out there. I've heard it from some backstories about 30 days ago. I kind of ignored it. I was like, well, I don't know. Things seem to be going okay.
I don't know if everybody heard you right.
Okay, so George Stoya of Sooner Scoop posted today behind their paywall, but it's been flying around enough, and it's been flying around in our comments that I've just referenced him. I've done our journalistic integrity here. This is George Story's credit, his story. That
We got it.
George is a great guy, does his work, okay? But sometimes
I'm a fan of Stoya.
sometimes us amateur potters are accused of stealing people's shit, and that I'm clearly not doing that. This is George Stoya's story. He's indicating that there's a strong chance that Jerry Schmidt retires, and we have a new strength and conditioning coach. So, what does that mean? What does that mean for the other coaches? I don't know, but that would be a significant change. Maybe it's something that Nagy wants to make the change up there. I don't know. Sometimes I think a strength and conditioning coach change is good just to get new blood in, new ideas, something like that. So
not the P90 hot yoga 90.
Well, that doesn't always work. I'm just saying sometimes you need to.
Listen, we've all kind of heard this in the past, though. I think this has been going around for a while too. It's not the first time I've heard it.
I heard it 30 days ago. I was like, you've probably heard it a while, but that's a possibility. Coaching,
you've been hearing it for a while. And listen, if that happens, I'm a fan of Schmitty and everything that he's done in his career. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I think that there comes a time where you could get a little comfortable in what you're doing, and if the players don't trust him, and here's what you got to remember about these strength and conditioning guys, this is as important, if not important, as your head coach. That they trust and believe in this dude the way that they would trust and believe in BV, because they spend more time with them than BV.
So I will say this right here. When it comes to decisions like that, and I think also with the player personnel stuff, I'm going to definitely take a leap out on faith on that. But I trust Nagy and BV and them to get if that were to happen, I trust them to make the right decisions.
They're not going to do. We're not going to have a repeat of Tybo Olympics.
Insanity workouts.
But based upon, I got nothing to back this up other than following recruiting trends for 25 years and how recruiting works. It sure looks like Joe John Finley probably is moving on, because everything that's been going on with recruits and recruiting everybody in the tight end position doesn't seem as focused on Joe John Finley as it does with some of the other position coaches. And although the portal follows aren't really indicating that Joe John's heavily involved in some of the tight end stuff that's going on. And that's what I would say. I would think that a decision, Nagy has to be sitting down with Brent and reviewing personnel and if there need to be personnel changes. Okay? They do. So I would say if you're looking for if you want to sharpen if you're thinking I said this last year and I was wrong, so take it with 5 grains of salt. I think Joe John Finley would be the one spot you'll get to see a change. Emmett Jones, if you've been following Nagy's comments, he's clearly unhappy with the high school wide receivers not getting run. Clearly, in his comments to the press about the signing class and other stuff, he doesn't want to be in the portal spending money on wide receivers. He doesn't. Okay, he wants development there. So does that put Emmett Jones in the spotlight? I don't know. We're recruiting wide receivers left and right, and Emmett's involved in that, so it's less obvious, right? He just landed, now, did Petit and Sears, is that Emmett Jones closing that, or was that Nagy closing those guys with NIL deals? I don't know. DeMarco does not look like he's going anywhere based upon recruiting and everything else. He's getting guys, he's signing guys, he's getting verbals. He has his 28 and 29 guys lined up. And they're really top flight kids, so it doesn't look like that from that perspective. Bill's not going anywhere because I think it's recruiting for O-line is looking up, and Nagy is now selling Bill's NFL stuff accurately to recruits. And Nagy says, all my NFL guys say Bill is great. You want to be developed, come to OU under Bill. And Nagy's pushing that message out to everybody. So that's what I would say. I think I think Arbuckle had some struggles this year, but the last thing in the world we need is to change offensive coordinators. We need some goddamn continuity at the offensive coordinator position at Oklahoma. We've had 3 in 3 years. We don't need to go 4 in 4 years. I think you give Buckle a chance to do better stuff. But I think overall, if you're wondering which coaches you might see a change at, the signals I'm telling you would say Joe John Finley, perhaps, and maybe something with Emmett Jones, just because of Nagy's comments about he wants to see more wide receivers playing, and he wants freshman wide receivers to be playing more. He wants his high school wide receiver core to be better developed, to be playing more. So, when we talk about the wide receivers that we think will be an impact guy next year, the 2 names that come off right now are obviously Jermichael Carter and Giovanni Gibson, and they're both transfers. And that's not what Nagy wants. He knows he's going to have to go out and he doesn't want to purchase offensive line and wide receivers in the portal because the risk versus return's too high. That's what I've gotten from all the Nagy stuff that I've seen. But that's where it is. I think the QB thing is really complex and difficult, and could be made even more so if Mateer decides to leave, because it opens things up. And Jason, I do think you're right. I do think there's a chance that Hawkins could be offered some more money by somebody else, and OU with their budget would like to. I mean, we lost Sawchuk because we needed to keep Hawkins in spring. And that's a factual comment. There's all data behind the scenes to support that. That's why we lost. And then obviously Nagy spent a bunch of money on a Hawk, which seems kind of, which is a whole other topic. But when they were juggling the books, they had to let Sawchuk go because they needed to up Hawkins because, as you said, he was receiving more money from other places. So I think the biggest thing with Hawkins is going to be that he's going to be offered more than OU can. OU won't be able to match it. Someone's going to put us, make us pot determined, and to use a poker term, right? They're going to make us, we're going to move this. I mean, it's like last year, Baylor was offering ridiculous amounts to Jacoby Johnson just because they wanted to get him. They knew his potential. They were offering him a ridiculous amount of money. So I think there's going to be roster spots where guys are going because they're getting offered elsewhere. I know you's like, can't match that, go. Can't match that, go.
Sure. Well, that's part of the deal. And you have to understand that, I think. But I also think that
it's a newer part of the deal too.
Without knowing what they were, because you didn't allow him time to, we allowed Mateer to make all these mistakes for the entirety of the year, and we didn't think that, hey, you know what, maybe we have a couple of bumps in the road with Hawkins at quarterback, but maybe he figures it out in a couple of games too. We don't know that. And I'm not just talking about Hawkins. But when you brought up Hawkins and him leaving, I think that there's enough people around the country that want him after seeing what they saw out of him last year as a true freshman and what little they saw out of him this year, which was very little.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of him.
They know what he is.
We didn't see a lot of our backups, right? I mean, a lot of our backups didn't get playing time on offense. I mean, we didn't see enough of Manny Choice, Isaiah, Elijah Thomas, right? Because of the tight games we were in and the tight rotations they held to, we didn't see a lot of guys.
Right, and that's the problem, though, is that how is Nagy going to make informed decisions on who you should pay to stay and who you shouldn't, aside from on the defensive side of the ball? I don't think you can do it.
He's got it's going to be a scouting staff, self-evaluations, self-scouting. I mean, we're going to live and die by Nagy's acumen in this area.
He's been doing that all year as well. I mean, since camps and all the rest of that started, that was the interesting part about having Nagy there. That was like that's something that wasn't spoken about enough, was the fact that he's been, self-evaluating since the beginning of the year. And I think it's some guys in there that I don't think it just wasn't going to work out.
Like Dawson's evaluating, self-evaluating. They're going through our roster, so it's going to be an interesting portal off. whatever our portal off seasons before were, ignore it because Nagy and this new staff, it's completely different.
Yeah.
How we're operating, what we're doing, and with the money situation, it's completely different. So, it's going to be interesting. I do know that there's lots of donor money coming in from this season that you could see additional funds being made to, if you wanted to replace a coach and it required this much money, the money's there to do it. Like, you don't have to stand pat at a coach. If you want to do something different in terms of strength and conditioning and evaluations, I think that money is all there to get where we need to be. I mean, so yeah, I think that's all there. I don't know. I think it's going to be we're going to lose some guys because other teams poached them, and we're just going to flat cut some guys.
Yeah.
Some guys are getting cut, and let's just call it what it is. But I do think OU has they're 7. I was told they're 9 under the 105 number before portal entries, or that could have been with Dolby and Gibson, I guess in theory. I don't know that Gibson's really been on a roster count at all, but Dolby, I guess, on some level was. But OU's got 9 guys before we're going to see a rash of defections come Monday.
So yeah, I was just going to ask
next week.
you that.
It's all going to start.
I was just going to ask you that. I was like, when do we see, transfers that are leaving and just all the rest of that stuff that's happening with all of that, right? Like,
I think we'll see 10 kids leave in the next 7 days easily. The questions are what is their confidence level on the Heineke waiver, and can they convince Kip to come back? And if those two things happen, then that changes the linebacker part of the portal. That's a key part of this. Because if they lose all 3 of those guys, they've got to pick up 2 portal linebackers, and that's a cost variable that's got to be factored into this. Because if you keep Kip and Heineke, you don't need to go to the portal for 2 linebackers. There's a linebacker they're looking at that has multiple years that would be an interesting guy. The North Carolina guy, Kamori House, because he's been involved with OU before. So that's an interesting name. He's very talented. I don't think they need to add a cornerback or a safety, but if the right guy shows up there, I think they could do something. On the D line, it's very interesting. What do you do? Defensive tackle and defensive end. Do you pick up guys there, or do you rely on Bates and Chavis's pipeline of talented guys that are waiting to make an impact?
I think you don't bother wasting money on that. That you need to continue building that pipeline.
I think that's a good point, Jason, because they're not going to come cheap. D line's overpriced, right? Pass rushers are overpriced in the portal. So we'll see. And I think Wyatt Gilmore and C.J. Nixon could be those guys next year that we talk about in the same way we talk about Danny Okoye this year. Yep. And I think Trent Wilson and Nigel Smith could be the guys we talk about in the way we talk about, So I think there's a lot going on there. So
where are you at on your confidence level of Satania coming back?
No, it's low. I think he's going. I've not heard anything positive. I'd love for him to come back, but, I think he's moved into like a 2nd, 3rd round kind of grade. If he combines really well, he could move up even higher. He fits a lot of the. Used to be he's too small. That the NFL used to have that bias. That's kind of disappeared, right?
Yeah.
The speed guys. So I think Satania has banked on himself, and I think he's probably. So McShay's talking about like he may have a 3rd round grade, and I think if he gets that kind of grade, I think he's going to go. The Mateer thing's fascinating because again. It seems impossible to hear that he's the 5th quarterback coming out, right? If he came out, he's the 5th quarterback coming out, and in a panic draft, he could go in like the 3rd round, right? One guy loves him and says, "I'm going to bank a 3rd rounder here because because I don't want to be in the 20. I don't want to be in the it would be the 27 draft and throwing 1st round picks everywhere. Some team like the Rams could draft him, stash him, and try and develop him, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. We'll just get him with the right guy. We'll do the Josh Allen fix.
Yeah.
Because he's got the kind of game. because they'll view him as having kind of the gamer instinct stuff, some of the stuff that they like, and they can fix the other stuff that's kind of broken, right? Like he's got the leader, he has like the leader intangible stuff, and we know that, right? Because of what he's done for OU's roster. For better or worse, we know he's been a leader in the locker room, and a big part of our success this year has been some of that leadership he's provided, sort of in that intangible plane.
The comment that's being made out here, and we're sitting here having this argument with Kyle over, which is, go wash his hair, bro. Shit. I think that he came in and he was exactly what Oklahoma needed from, I think, a team standpoint, as far as his confidence level, the competitiveness that was going on that we heard about in practice. I think he changed a lot of things that were going on in the locker room to where there wasn't
on the offensive side of the ball. He was a culture injection.
There was competition going on there that they were like, woo. I think that they believed, they got to where they believed in him. You've heard things from guys like Kip Lewis and stuff like that have said things about him that, they love having him there and blah, blah, blah. I think that this team does like him to an extent. In the end, you got to go back to the bottom lines are he played all but one game and he had 13 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. This is not the standard at Oklahoma. Injured, not injured, I don't give a shit. If they went 10-2, and if you're going to tell me it was because of him, I'm telling you that you're full of shit. What would they do with the guy that had 20 touchdowns and 7 picks?
Well, they might still have been 10-2.
I mean, with our schedule, right? I get what you're saying, Jason.
You're right.
Do they lose those games that they lost because they couldn't seem to get it together earlier they had zero offense to speak of coming from him in the Texas game. Same thing with Ole Miss. He takes it onto himself whenever they take the lead back, but they did it running the football, and he's not making the right decisions. The decision making was poor. Obviously the performances weren't good. So don't tell me this guy's the answer, the guaranteed answer here, because I don't believe that it is. And no matter what, all the thing that I really want to say is I just compete for the job and have it. And you know what? It doesn't just have to be on your coordinator on who starts. Brent Venables is the head coach.
Yeah, but there are some mechanics there. Let's be realistic about some mechanics there, though. I mean, let's just be realistic about that. I mean,
I'm trying to be realistic. Realistically, part of the problem with this football team is that he's not involved in everything enough.
Okay, I don't think that's debatable. But he can just
get involved and don't just sugarcoat everything that you're seeing out there, because I don't want to hear Brent Venables come out there and talk about how much he believes in Mateer again when nobody else. I don't see it. We're not seeing the performances on the field. So if you do nothing else, make Kevin Wilson.
Let's just play safe and not fuck up, so the defense let the defense lead us.
Well, this is where another word that I've been using the last 2 days is hubris. And part of the problem is still Brent Venables and his hubris that, I can win this motherfucker with my defense. I don't give a shit who we got playing quarterback.
And they got dinged last night.
But
exactly, and you know what? That's the same thing opposite of Lincoln. That is like, fuck the defense.
Jason, Jason, you gotta understand sports, my guy. Like that doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any fucking sense. If you know that one part of your team is not doing well, you freeze it out and you figure out a game plan that's going to help you be successful. It's done at every level, high school, college, and pros. They do it every single day. Every single time somebody laces up their shoes or their boots, they do it.
I'm telling you that I think that Brent built a defense that he believed that could win it despite that offense.
I think once it became apparent, I agree with you. I get what you're saying. I think it's plausible to think, hey, my defense can get us there. I think there's a lot of coaches out there that would tell you, I'm the type of coach that tells you, get me to the last 2 minutes of the ball game and I will go get you a win. I heard that so many times throughout my personal career. I've heard that from other coaches. A lot of coaches feel that way. They can rely on their defense. I'm with you up to a point. I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to disagree with you wholly, but what I'm trying to say is that you're right. But I think also, I think if you said, hey, there's game management things that's still popping up, hell yeah.
I'm not saying this year. I'm not saying moving forward.
Yeah.
I think that, of course, you've got to figure something out. Moving, obviously, you just lost in the first round at home.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying his ego, dude, make no mistake. I've been around, and you've been around them too. College coaches, guys at this level, particularly at the big boy level football or basketball for that matter, they believe in their self more than they believe they can get the guys. They have the scheme. They can motivate to get you to do God's work, no matter what. They truly believe in themselves. And there's high school coaches that are that way too. But I'm telling you, it in the end, you know for sure that it's out there until it isn't. These guys are absolutely believing. BV knows for sure that he can build a defense. What he hasn't been as confident in doing, and so he's just passing the buck off. And that, I think, is part of the problem. That's the point I'm trying to make. Don't pass the buck. Dude, be involved in all of it. They're having this same conversation right now in Texas, by the way, only it's about what they did this week of they go and they bring back, they get rid of PK, who's had one of the best defenses in the country for the last few years, and they go to bring back Will Muschamp because I've heard people say because Sark doesn't want to have to manage his defense, and he feels like he has to with PK. I think that's wild talk. I think that what that really has to be with, he doesn't want to have to fucking think about the defense at all. And what it really is that he ain't going to stop fucking calling the plays. And so he's putting it out there that it was something that it wasn't about that offense and Arch Manning not being ready to go take over the world in year one as your starter. I think that, I mean, there's a lot, we could get into a lot of that, but I'm saying it's going on there. It's going on in Norman too, folks. Get involved in it. Stop. And you know what, Coach, I just go back to Coach Stoops. There ain't no way that you were going to get away with doing the stuff that the coordinator's doing now. No fucking way.
I think also another part of it is as well is that you still got to remember all the parts that play into this, okay? What I've been trying to say all along has been said by Arbuckle from the very beginning when he did his presser and all the rest of that stuff. Arbuckle calls his offense for what he's presented with, right? What he's given. And again, I still think, yes, Satania overachieved, and I'm super happy for him. Run game was bad this year simply because injuries and a lot of things plagued us there. But also offensive line, the shuffle. That's something I'm excited about next year is that maybe for the first time in a while, Beatonbow can actually go in with I don't want to hear anything about Heath Ozida. I don't want to hear about Howland is having good reps. You have your guys. You have your guys. You have your guys. Can we start with those five? Or obviously Fabechi is gone, but can we? Or Michael is there.
That he wasn't playing freaking center all the whole way, right?
But my whole thing is that again, Giovanni was limited. And I think that he's finally getting into a groove. You said it last night. Jermichael Carter showed me some stuff last night. Obviously, you saw Keontae Lewis. Hell, you saw Jacob Jordan last night. You saw Burks look good in the slot last night. Some guys were, I think, misarranged, different things like that. And it took a while to get those pieces together. But I think that he had to create an offense for what was presented around him, trying to bring in a guy. Yes, he could progress him as much as he needs, but still there were some misconnections. A lot of the stuff that you said about Mateer, totally true. But I think Arbuckle has basically said, I prepare my offense for what I'm presented with. And I think that some OU fans, I think we're a little bit now. Y'all know I'm super optimistic. Chris Mason will tell you that. I'm very idealistic. But I think if I'm just trying to be realistic for once, again, I've been saying it all along. We did not have all the weapons around a John Mateer. Now, granted, John Mateer still, whatever woes he's going through and all the issues, that's all true, Jason. And that you facts. But I also say we still need better weapons out there because Giovanni was limited. Keontez Lewis had all that weird shit going on. Jermichael Carter finally got in the groove. Eli Thomas for whatever's going on with that. I think you're going to have better weapons, and I think you'll be able to go into the portal. So I'm interested to see what Arbuckle, again, last night to me was only 30% of the problem because a lot of the time, me and you were sitting there right next to each other, and I kept saying, he had a step on him. He had a step on him. He's wide open. You scream, oh my fucking gosh, he's open. We need a quarterback. And if that's John Mateer or whoever the next person is going to be, Hawkins or whoever, that person, one, has to see the field. Two, that person has to be willing to throw the pass. They have to be able to give these wide receivers a chance because there were plenty of times all these guys needed was just a chance. You don't have to underthrow a guy on the deep ball. Just overthrow him. These guys had steps. When they finally put Satay on the outside, he was running past people left and right. There are certain things that this offense needs. I think this offense can be good. I think it can have an identity, but guys have to be healthy. And also, you need real weapons. And the whole thing is that what was supposed to be our 1-2 punch when he came back was X-Rod, but also Ott. That did not become the pairing. Giovanni Gibson, the broken leg and all the rest of that stuff took him a second to get his step back. Keontez Lewis was good for the first few games, got injured. There's a whole bunch of different things that happened offensively, and I think that they had to go in there and have a real discussion about what is this team being led by, and it just so happened to be the defense. It kind of shifted at some point after the Auburn game. I'll be honest with you, but I think that if we get to the point where we understand we need better weapons out there, and a better weapon may be a better quarterback, and I'm open to that conversation now simply because I don't want to miss this window that we have, because at some point we are going to be without a Kip Lewis, a Kobe McKenzie, a David Stoney, and those guys are going to have to rebuild again. And I'm fine with that because every team goes through that. We'll usher in the next team that we're going to fall in love with here at OU. But right now, if we keep the select guys, if we do things on defense that we need to do, if we go in the portal and make the moves, we have a window to compete for a national championship. And I don't want to miss that window. And that's what sucks so much to me about last night, is because you felt like OU could make a real run. Either one of those teams, Bama or OU, can make a real run with what they were given bracket-wise. And I think that that's where I'm really at with really looking at this portal. Like, how do we bolster this offense? So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I can't wait for next week. Not only for Christmas, people, happy holidays to you, but there's a lot of questions that we're asking right now. We're talking about, all three of us, that we need answers to immediately. I need to know what Mateer is doing right now. Right now. Did Jason?
I think the odds are, based upon the QB grades and all that, Chris, I'll probably be wrong on this, but I think Mateer's leaving. I think once his representation gets a real good look at that, I think there's a chance Mateer's representation will tell him that the fix we need to do, you can't get done at the college level.
There he is. Say that again, Mason.
I suspect that Mateer is going to leave because the fixes he needs to make in his game, based upon NFL feedback, he can't do in the college level. There's not the sophistication. There's not the focus. He can spend money on a QB guy or a QB. I don't know how the QB guru things work. Do they get like a percentage of whatever? I don't know how that works, right? So, but however, he's certainly got the money from his time at OU to pay some guy, to pay one of those QB gurus to just help him restructure some of the things he's doing mechanically that creates these issues. And I just don't think he could do that in a college environment. So I'll probably be wrong on that, but that's where I'm leaning. And then OU's going to have to decide what they're doing at the portal to bring in another quarterback. That's what I suspect is going on. And maybe Nagy has that conversation with Mateer because Nagy's like, I didn't pick you. You're not my guy. Which has always been a question about Brent too, right? In terms of the new management of how we're doing football. That Nagy and Stevenson didn't hire Brent. That's a Joe C move. We know that if Brent was to leave or had to resign or retire for some reason, that Stevenson and Nagy are making that hire, not Joe C. So I think that creates some interesting. It creates next week to be interesting. But if he comes back, yeah, obviously you want a quarterback battle. I will say though, just 25 years of watching college football, it is rare that returning starters get deposed. It happens. Okay, we saw Nate Hibble get deposed by Jason White in the middle of a season. We saw Paul Thompson and Bomar go back and forth. We saw Knight and Blake Bell go back and forth. So it certainly happens, right? But generally speaking, I think the sense that there's going to be some big quarterback battle, I don't buy that's actually going to happen, mainly because I don't know that anybody can, in practice, in this offseason, demonstrate a better knowledge of the offense than Mateer due to his experience. And Arbuckle can be as open as he wants to be and try and be so non-biased. You can have Brent, Kevin Wilson, anybody you want, but when he's running that offense in practice, he's gonna look better than anybody else that we have. And maybe I'm blind on that, but that's just my bias. I think that's the case. So if you're pinning your hopes on a true quarterback battle, I just don't think structurally that will actually occur. That can actually occur.
That's the issue, though. That's the real issue. Is what are we going to do? That's what's broken about. If we're going to not,
it's broken here. It's broken everywhere in NFL. It's broken everywhere.
You know what? I think that the ones that get it right are the ones that win, though. The ones that get it right are the ones that win, because you know what? The best coordinators, it's not the ones that they can spot the talent. They can do this. No, you know what? The talent is going to be there. What do you do with it? What do you do with this? Some guys, I heard Mac Brown talking about when Vince Young was there. It was like, don't try to fit him into your offense. Fit your offense to him. This guy's a badass.
Well, he just went back to his high school offense.
Look, I don't care. You know the point I'm trying to make. They gave him
I get that. I just
an opportunity to have success. I don't give a shit what offense it is. I don't care if you run the triple option. Do what works for the guys you have in the room to make them successful. If there's something that he could have done to fit Mateer and make him more successful, then I think he should have done it. You're muted, Chris. You're muted.
All I'm saying is Arbuckle's already said all of that. That's what Arbuckle does. He fit the offense around him. There's still a point. There's still a point to where, look, I've heard this all my life. I heard a bunch of sayings, but I got one for you. You could do everything in practice. But you got to do it when the lights are on and when the popcorn smell is in the building. Okay? So what does that mean? That means I can go out there and teach you how to do this, but you still got to go and do it for yourself. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like Arbuckle has been perfect, but I'm also not going to sit here and say, especially what we saw last night. We saw that in the Texas game as well. Guys are running wide open. I don't know what's up with Mateer. I don't know what's going on between here, but I know that plays are being called where it's like, hey, cash play, 50-50 ball, 50-50 ball.
Listen, I'll give you that because We see guys all over that. You can go watch the game from last night and stop every play during the routes. The route he's missing open receivers on every play. I'm not just putting this all off on Arbuckle. The problem with Arbuckle is that he knows what's going on and he's not fixing it. That's my problem. And it doesn't even have to just be Hawkins. Shit, there's other quarterbacks in that room. If you got nothing but quarterbacks in there that won't find the open receiver on what you're putting out there, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I'm just throwing out that point about look. You watch a lot of college football. You watch a lot of college football, and you see a lot of bad quarterbacks out there, and they're not being. And the backups, generally speaking, aren't any fucking better.
Okay? Yeah, but don't throw general speaking out there because you know what? Sometimes smart coaches put in the backup, and they all of a sudden they start winning. It happens.
It's the unicorn, not. It's the unicorn, though.
Bull crap. Every year, somebody comes in that nobody expected to be that guy, and he's that guy.
Are you missing what I mean by unicorn? I mean, it's the exception to the rule. It's a unicorn because it's an exception. Trinidad Chambliss is a unicorn in college football.
Trinidad Chambliss is a unicorn in college football because of where he came from, a Division II.
Well, okay, sure. But I'm saying, generally speaking, for the most part, the backup quarterback is the backup for a reason. That's true.
I don't like speaking in general statements about this very subject right here because I think that's crazy talk. Why did you recruit them if they're not good enough?
The problem is way bigger than Mateer. There are problems, and you're calling those out, Jason. But I'm saying the problem is bigger than Mateer, and I think it's one of those things where you have to ask yourself, it's as simple as this. It's either an A or B. Instead of doing a long talk about it, it's either A or B. Do you trust Mateer to come back? And do you trust Mateer with more weapons, with better weapons, more production, more productive around him? Or do you trust your evaluations to say, okay, if you go off to Miami or if you go to the pro or wherever the hell you're going to go, do you trust yourself and say, hey, we have Hawkins here, we have Bentley coming in, and we can go get a quarterback out of the portal, open it up for a competition, still get those new weapons, and tell Arbuckle and staff not only develop, but also we want to be explosive as hell next year. At the very least, we want to average 24 points a game.
Well, here's the thing. Let me just answer part of that question because I think with what he just talking about what Arbuckle likes to do, that +1 run game. Who's more fitted? Who's better fit for that than Michael Hawkins to run the football? He runs a 4.4. He's faster, more elusive. We saw him do that in the time that he's been in. At times he's been in Oklahoma. And it's not even in a game plan that called for the quarterback power run game or any of that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see any of that. He can also throw the ball up there. Do I think that he can fit him into? I think that he's not a terrible fit like a lot of people think for Arbuckle's offense. I think he's not giving it an opportunity. And that's what I was saying about BV is that, like, look, this is where you need to step in if you're BV and be Bob Stoops to say, look, we got this guy, do this. The way he was, we've got Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon. Run the fucking ball, Lincoln. It's not hard. That's the point I'm making. When it comes to the rest of this, do I trust John Mateer? No, I don't know that it matters because we saw wide open guys, whether you think there's enough talent on the field at the other positions. We saw Buckle scheming dudes open, and his quarterback wasn't throwing to those dudes.
Yeah.
So, I don't trust him. I don't.
That, to me, like I said, those 2 points that I put out there, those are the questions right there. I think right now, offensively speaking, that's where you're at. Chris Mason, where are you at on that? Do you trust Mateer? You trust another year with Mateer with better weapons? Or do you trust, or do you feel like, we need it's a new start? Because I know realistically you're leaning towards, I think he's gone.
Well, I think that's my guess based upon the grander picture of what's going on with the NFL and et cetera. But if he returns, if you give so simplistically speaking, if we have a better running game, John Mateer is a better quarterback. And I know that's a generality, Jason, but watching 25 years of college football, the last 25 years of college.
25 years too. Don't start there. Don't go there.
No, I'm not just saying. Based upon that, if
that
OU has a better, more consistent running game, John Mateer is instantly a better quarterback.
That I agree with.
Okay, if he has better personnel at tight end, running, and deeper, healthier personnel at running back, wide receiver, and tight end, could he be a better passing quarterback? Yes. Do we know that for certain based upon what we just saw? No. How much of this is adjustment to the SEC with Arbuckle and Mateer? I don't know. A year of playing better let's just face it. Kyler and Baker playing the defensive units we just went up against aren't going to be doing what they did in the Big 12. Orlando Brown blocking NFL defensive ends every week wouldn't be as dominant as he was in the Big 12. Just as for an example there, right? But I think if you bring back Mateer, you realistically have to know that his experience in the offense means that someone beating him in spring the odds of that are very slim. Yeah. That's a realistic comment. That's just the way football has worked that I've observed.
I don't disagree with you about that.
Okay, but that's my point, is that if he comes back, we're stuck with him. It's not unless he's physically knocked out completely.
Now, Chris Mason, I'm going to give you a hard time simply because I'm going to say this. Answer the question. Do you have faith? Do you trust Mateer coming back with more weapons? I understand you laid out your explanation and reasoning for it.
Yeah, if we do A and B, if you give him a better running game, you give him better weapons, and Arbuckle has absorbed what works and doesn't work in the SEC and modifies what he's doing in this offseason, then yes, I think John Mateer can be a better quarterback. Now, is that a better quarterback that drives us through several playoff wins into a national championship final? I can't tell you that. No one can tell you that because of the talent level we face in season and what we could face in a draw. We got a weird draw here. I think OU beats Miami or A&M last night, based upon what I saw today from those two teams, right? So we got a weird draw and it didn't work out our way. So, but I think, do I trust Mateer's going to get better? No, I have to hope. And as my friend Buddy says, hope's not a plan. So
hope's not a plan.
Hope's not a plan. So I don't believe that a 2-year veteran quarterback in this offensive system is going to be defeated by anybody coming in. And if it is, I hate to say it, it'll be Bo Bentley that does it.
So what do you say? So what are you getting at them?
I think Mike Hawkins is going to get. I'm making predictions. I'm making super predictions.
He's out.
He's out. I think he's going to get more money from somewhere else, and Nagy's going to look at his roster spreadsheet and realize he needs more weapons, and he's going to say, "Okay, I'm sorry, but go ahead and go," because he's got money invested in Mateer. If he brings him back, he's got money invested in Bentley. At some point, it just becomes a crunch on your balance book. You need to pay David Stone, Jaden Jackson, Taylor Wine. I don't think that's what folks are getting. We have a salary cap, and he's slotting positions and performers, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that means that if he can have a cost control element with Mateer, he's going to do it, because he'll believe if I put more better pieces around him, he should be better. Mm-hmm. Right, and I need those pieces anyway, whoever my quarterback's going to be. So it's the cost control on Mateer that I think ends up, because what we should do is we should get Sam Levitt, bring him in, and have him compete with Mateer. You got a veteran quarterback competing with a veteran quarterback, best guy win, right? That's what we should do.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah,
that's what you should do. But you can't do that and then say say to Bill, I'm not getting you any additional offensive line. I'm not getting you any additional wide receivers. I'm not getting you any additional tight ends. You need a backup defensive tackle. That's not happening. You can't rob the roster that way. So that's where it's driving. But I do think there's a possibility Mateer decides to go pro and decide that the best way to fix his game is to work with a QB guru 724 over the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the way I think that might be the best decision for him, because I do think, Jason, there is an element of how much better can he really be next year as a third-year starter, right? We've seen this before.
Yep.
College teams stick with veterans who aren't getting better just because
it blows up in their faces.
And they don't switch off them, right? I mean, A&M's got this same story.
Well, I was saying about the whole Jay Knott thing. It's like, you're not, they got it in their head that he wasn't going to be good for Oklahoma, so they didn't ever try to play him. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
They should never have acquired him in the first place. So,
y'all see his comment right here?
Which one?
What?
Is it?
Well, I mean, guys,
I haven't been on Twitter.
It's probably because I just fucking said it on this podcast. So, all right, let me go here.
I'm not seeing anything here.
I don't see Twitter blowing up about it.
I don't see it either.
It's not, if it's blowing up and it doesn't have a comment from George Stoyer isn't saying it. It hasn't happened, guys. Right?
Ooh, a shot in the direction of Parker Thune fans everywhere.
I'm just
doing that to be petty. That was on me. That was me.
But I do think the chances I'm going to be interested to see what happens with what they're able to do in the portal and strike, because Nagy, his spring portal was great except for right? He got a good receiver in Jermichael Carter, right? We just couldn't integrate him fast enough. He got a starting center, and he got us an elite kicker. So, guys, I'm just using Levitt as an example. I'm not saying we're going after Levitt, right? Until you can't go.
Who else out there at this point? I hadn't even had time to get into these thoughts.
There's lots of guys out there.
What happened in this game last night, and I thought that's kind of what we were the recapping and stuff. But
but you can only. I mean, we know why we lost the game,
you
right?
Guys are the ones that brought me into this Mateer debacle stuff. Is what I'm saying.
Well, we talked about it up front, so we did talk
about it. Just remember that I wasn't trying to talk about this shit.
No. I mean, it's gonna, once the decision gets made, it's gonna dominate off-season conversation.
Of course it is.
So
does he make that comment in there, or when do we know what's going on? When do we know where they're headed?
Well, he has to make a decision by January. I think 14th.
He's got to make a decision by Tuesday.
Well, I think if you're Jim Nagy, you're calling his representation and scheduling a meeting for Tuesday, right? And if you're Jim Nagy, you're not doing that, then you already know what you're doing, and maybe you're presenting Mateer with news that he doesn't want. We're redoing your contract, and if he says no, I don't want to do that, I'm going to hit the portal. Okay, thanks. I mean, there's any number of ways this can go now that we have an actual GM making these decisions.
Yeah.
So the past predictions out the effing window. But if I'm Jim Nagy, I need to know if I have to be in the portal getting a quarterback a week before January 1st, January 2nd. I need to be working sources. I need to be working agents. I need to poach someone before it starts.
Agreed.
It's just too big a position.
But see, I think he's already got that. He's got to already be on that, right?
I would think so. I mean, again,
he better be.
Yeah, I think he is. So, but you still need to get a public decision out there so that so when you're talking to another quarterback, they know Mateer's gone, because they're not going to want to come here if Mateer's here. I mean, that's a fact, right? I mean, you're not going to, if you're Rocco backed, use another name since everyone hates me using Levitt.
I like Sam Levitt, by the way. I'm okay with you using Levitt.
Yeah, exactly. So, so you've got to have that, because Rocco will be like, well, I'm not going there, because That guy's he's been playing for 2 years under the offensive coordinator. I'm not going there. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I just, and that's a sane reaction to this whole thing. But yeah, I think overall, to get back to Chris's comment, we just went 10-2. We just gave a game away to Alabama, for lack of a better terminology, especially on special teams. We're returning a lot of talent on defense, a lot of elite guys who could be even better next year.
Yeah, you don't have to go get a Heisman guy at every position.
You're right. So what do we need on offense? What do we need on offense to be more efficient? And I think it starts with we've got to be able to run the football, and that will make any quarterback, even John Mateer,
absolutely
that much better. And then the other pieces will fall in line, right? If you run the ball better,
where are they heading then? Tell me where they're heading then. Are they going to go look for some linemen that are guaranteed, so you want a true starter at your center position, and then you've got basically one other starter's spot to fill with who you got there?
I think Makula with a year, remember he came in late with a full off-season weight, strength and conditioning. I think Makula gets you where you need to be at center. With another year, a veteran I think he played well at center. That was not a weak point for us. I think once you need to get a guard, and you need the young guys to have great off seasons. You need people pushing them, and you got to figure out how this. So I'm gonna have to give a shout out to somebody. I have a friend, technical guy who I used to do podcasts with. He's convinced you got to dump the RPO stuff and get more direct in our running game, and ditch that and start going in some different directions in how we structure our running game. Gabe and Teddy is saying the same damn thing. Yeah. At some point, if you're Brent, I think you've got to have that conversation with Buckle and Wilson and decide where you're going to go with it and go with it. So, but I think you've got to do that. If you get a big this Florida tight end crushes people in the running game. Okay, he's 6'7", 270. Yeah. He's been in the SEC. If you can get him, that's step one. Step two.
I was just gonna say that sucked last night watching us go out there in those heavy personnel and go really heavy in personnel, and we can't move the rock. We can't even stretch.
Helms did a really good job at times blocking this, but it's not up his alley is what he should be having to do anyway.
No, but if you could get a guy that could really do that allows you to make Caden Helms in a different way. He doesn't have to do that job. He does the other job, right? He's better at the other job.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it changes everything. Offensive line, you've got to get some pieces, and you've got to. I think the big question is do you need a attitude reset in how you're running the ball, and is the RPO the problem? Both with Mateer, like he's doing too much, and that's why he's missing stuff in terms of all the reads you're doing. Take that out of his hands, and have a more conventional running game, for lack of a better term. I'm not like an expert on formations here. I've never claimed to be. Is that where you need to go? And if you do that and get those pieces, can you make John Mateer a better quarterback? I think, yes, you can.
Yeah, if what you're trying to do is fit his scheme, you've got to go get tight ends because he wants to run 11 and 12 personnel.
Exactly. We don't have the talent for it. So you bring in two guys that can do that. Maybe it's the Florida guy. Maybe you steal Alexander from Iowa State. He's 6'4", 250. He can catch the ball. Iowa State develops good tight ends. But you've got to get a better tight end coach in, right? Critically, And do you make a change at Emmett Jones? I don't know. Do you make a change at DeMarco? Don't look like it, but there are some things. But I do think you sit down with Arbuckle and Brent. Last year, Brent was coaching for his life, right? And last offseason, he was coaching for his life, basically. I mean, let's just call it. This offseason, I think he can basically send off Dreiling and all the guys and say, keep pushing the defense in the direction we're going, and spend more time with Arbuckle and Wilson looking at the offense and deciding.
I think
philosophically
because I agree with you. Look, this is where you have to get better if you're BV. We know you know how to call defensive plays. We get it. We know you know how to game plan.
You've built a defense. We have a defensive attitude. It's done.
I would tell you that last night, what we didn't talk about I didn't get enough recap time in. I think he was a little slow coming off the single high safety look and some of the stuff that they were gashing.
Yeah.
His adjustments weren't as quick as I would have liked to have seen. But I still trust BV above all to get the defense right. Get better at the other shit because that's where we're losing at.
Yeah, that's where he should spend some time and imposing a little more of this is how I would like the offense to look. Right? Like from a physicality standpoint, right? You talk about the softification of Bama a little bit when we talked about that with that finesse scheme.
That got me in all kinds of.
Yeah, it did. But anyway, I'm saying that I think this is an offseason where BV can honestly say, all right, the defense is not quite on autopilot, but it's pretty damn close from an off-season overhaul standpoint, right? With all the guys you got returning, okay? From all that. And I think he should spend some time with Arbuckle and Wilson looking at what we're doing and saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Why are we not moving the line here? Why are we not physically firing off more? I want us to switch to something that's a little more physical, that fits the rest of fits what I'm building on defense. Okay? Mirror what I'm doing on defense a little bit. Sure. How do you make that adjustment? And I think they were at the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to shut up talking, and it's 11 o'clock my time and go to bed. But I think that's where we are. But I honestly don't have if Mateer's staying, Mateer's starting, and that's my fatalistic view on that. Unless somehow, because I just don't know that we're going to get any view of spring to have any real intelligent view. We're not getting a spring game. I don't know we're going to get much view into spring into what's really going on. So we're not going to really have too much of an answer beyond what the coaches are feeding us. Which is not that different anywhere else really at this point.
True.
So, but I don't want to overlook the massive progress we made this year from a team standpoint. Going 6-6 to 10-2 and going to the playoffs and losing a close game to Bama at home. It's a huge, the chasm between that and losing the fucking Armed Forces Bowl to Navy is, it's incalculable really. The progress that has been made with the team. So, but I think I think if you add if you can fix the running game part, I think everything else will fall in line with helping making you a more effective team. I'm watching Oregon. They can run, they can pass. Granted, they're playing James Madison, so it's not the world's greatest comparison. We'll know once they're playing Miami. But, last comment, based on what I saw today, it's an Oregon UGA Ohio State winner final that we're looking at. I mean,
it's a what?
It's an Oregon Miami. It's an Oregon versus Oregon versus the winner of Ohio State UGA.
Oh, so Georgia. Got it. Okay. Georgia wins. Georgia wins it all.
Well, I don't know that they beat Oregon, but we'll see.
Georgia
All right,
wins.
guys.
We're 2 hours in, man. That's
We're going to go away for a while, and I just barely got here. But, yeah, I may be back on in a little while, everybody. If not, it'll be maybe tomorrow sometime. But
Yep. But we will. Guys, no Thursday show. We'll be back. We'll try and get you guys a show next weekend sometime to talk about whatever portal decisions have happened with the roster and the team and talk about what we think is going to go on. So we'll try and schedule something for you guys after we've got some portal data, but it won't be Christmas. We're not doing a show Christmas Day or Boxing Day, but after that, once we've got some decisions going.
I forgot you're a Boxing Day guy. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to go have dim sum. Anyway, everybody have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and if whatever you celebrate, as long as you're with family and all that, everyone have a great time. And a merry. We probably talked before New Year, but before that. But Jason and Chris, guys, have a great next week. Have a great holidays.
Appreciate you, man. Same to you. Anything else from you, Kchris?
No, that's it.
Appreciate everybody coming in. I'm going to drop the title and everything that I put on this one because y'all fucked that all up. I'm going to drop the title and all that stuff to you guys. You can go on and change it on your channels. So,
okay.
It gets out to more people.
Right. Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate everybody coming in. Hit that like button. Boomer Sooner. Love all you guys. See you on the next one.